Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take those topics you're curious about and, well, we try to turn them into clear, useful knowledge pretty fast.
Yeah, think of it as your shortcut to getting genuinely informed, finding those aha moments without all the usual information overload.
Exactly. And today's Deep Dive, it's really for you, the listener, who wants to understand things deeply, get those key insights, but maybe doesn't want to wade through tons of extra stuff.
So for this session, our source material is from a YouTube transcript. The video is called A Day a Jew, and it's from the UC She channel.
Okay, so this video, it seems to unpack some really interesting ideas from cognitive scientist Toma Bechi. It gets into how our words, and I think we'll explore that more as our beliefs, our mindset, really shape our lives. What really jumped out at me was this idea that you can actually become the person you want to be. That you can break free from where you are right now.
Right. And our mission today really is to dig into the methods for change that are presented here. We want to pull out the core insights, the things you can actually think about applying in your own life.
Okay, so the transcript kicks off with a pretty bold statement, doesn't it? It says, achieving what you want is possible. Like, totally possible.
Yeah, no matter how out there it might seem right now, it gives examples, like people seemingly transforming into, world-class artists or top academics.
Or super successful entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And the key thing it emphasizes is that it's not just about some innate talent they'd suddenly found.
No, it's more about this continuous focus on a goal and persistently making choices, taking actions that move them towards it. It's that consistent effort.
That combination of really wanting it and then actually doing the work.
Exactly. The source suggests that when the desire is really strong, your actions almost naturally start aligning with it. It's less about willpower and more about alignment.
And the empowering part, for you listening, is that this isn't some rare superpower. The transcript implies this ability to achieve things. Well, you have it too.
Which leads us straight to the first crucial step mentioned, setting a goal.
Okay, goal setting.
Yeah.
Now, most self-help stuff talks about getting super specific, right? Define it clearly. But this source, it adds a bit of a twist, doesn't it?
It does. It suggests that maybe the what of the goal doesn't have to be perfectly crystal clear right at the beginning. What's really critical, according to the transcript, is where that goal sits in relation to your current life.
And that location needs to be outside the current reality. Okay, unpack that for us.
Right.
What does outside the current reality actually mean?
Well, the transcript uses a comparison. Think about someone wanting to become CEO within their current company. That's a big goal, sure.
Right, but it's still within a familiar system, a known path, kind of.
Exactly. It's operating within their existing reality. Now, compare that to, say, a local bank employee who dreams of becoming a, globally recognized public speaker.
Ah, okay. That's a completely different scale. A huge leap from their day-to-day. That feels outside.
That's the idea. And the reason for setting goals outside your current reality is pretty interesting. The transcript argues that the methods, the pathways to achieve those really transformative goals, you just can't see them from where you stand right now.
So your current perspective, your beliefs, they kind of limit what you can even imagine is possible.
Precisely. It's like you've got blinders on, seeing only what's familiar. But when you aim for something way out there, way in the distance,
Your field of vision has to expand.
right, you start noticing possibilities, potential routes that were completely invisible before. They only emerge when you aim higher, further.
Okay, that makes sense. So how do we bridge that gap? How do these seemingly impossible goals become reachable? This is where the transcript introduces briefs, right?
Yes, briefs,
Yeah.
which are described as these deep-seated beliefs or convictions. The idea is credited to Lou Tice, who was big in the personal development space.
So briefs are basically our core beliefs, and they dictate what we think we can and can't do. They set our limits.
That's the essence of it. And the source explains these aren't just passing thoughts. They get formed through creating really strong recognition patterns in the brain, specifically the prefrontal cortex and the limbic system.
Okay, wait. So the prefrontal cortex, that's like decision-making, planning, and the limbic system is more emotions, memory.
Exactly. The prefrontal cortex processes info, makes judgments, and the limbic system adds the emotional weight. So when a belief forms, it's often tied to strong feelings, maybe repeated experiences. It gets wired in, neurologically speaking.
Ah, so it feels really real because it's physically ingrained in our brain's wiring. That explains why changing them can feel tough sometimes.
Definitely. You're essentially working against or trying to rewire these established neural pathways.
The transcript has that example of the child bullied at school that really drives it home.
It does. Those repeated negative experiences create this powerful brief, school is terrifying, and it gets reinforced emotionally and cognitively until, as the transcript notes, even just talking about school stuff can trigger a physical reaction.
Wow. Okay. And the point is, we all have these belief systems, right? You listening, me, everyone. They're running in the background, shaping things.
Absolutely. And importantly, they don't just come from our own experiences. The transcript points out we can absorb them from others. Like if someone constantly tells you you're bad at your job.
Eventually, you might actually start to believe it and lose confidence, even if it wasn't true initially.
Precisely. You internalize that external message as your own belief.
Okay, so these briefs can clearly limit us. But the big question is, can we change them? Are we stuck?
And the transcript gives a very clear no to being stuck. It says changing them is not only possible, but it's the most effective way to break free from those limitations.
This is where that 4-minute mile example comes in, right? Which is just fascinating.
It really is a perfect illustration. Before 1954, it was almost universally believed impossible, like a hard physiological limit. Humans just couldn't run a mile that fast.
Until Roger Bannister did it.
Until Roger Bannister did it. And
Yeah.
then the really telling part is what happened next.
Yeah, what was it? Loads of others started doing it too.
Loads! The transcript says over 40 runners broke the 4-minute barrier in just the next 4 years.
40 in 4 years.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So it wasn't just about training techniques suddenly improving overnight.
Highly unlikely. The implication is that the belief that it was impossible was the real barrier for most runners. It was a collective self-imposed limit.
So Bannister didn't just break a record, he broke the belief.
Exactly. He shattered that limiting brief. And once other runners saw it was possible, their own briefs shifted. The impossible became possible in their minds and then in reality.
It really shows how fundamental these beliefs are. They dictate what we even attempt. But the good news is, they're not fixed. They can be reshaped.
And the transcript suggests visualization is a key method for starting that reshaping process.
Right, visualization or having a vision. Now, sometimes that phrase can sound a bit, I don't know, floaty, wishy-washy.
It can, yeah. But the source gives it a pretty concrete definition here. It's not just daydreaming.
Okay, so what is it then, according to this?
It's creating a clear mental picture of yourself and the world around you in the future after you've achieved one of those goals that's currently outside your reality. It's about seeing the you that exists then.
Got it. So if you're listening and thinking, okay, how do I even start that? What are the first steps?
The transcript suggests starting by just relaxing, then let your imagination roam free. Picture that future you, the world you're living in once you've reached that big goal.
And get specific, right? Like, what job do you have? What's your income? Who are you working with? Your community? Where are you living? Family life. Really paint the picture.
Yes, build that vivid scene. But there's a really important caveat the transcript stresses. Don't just imagine the perks, like, lying on a beach with millions in the bank. You also need to envision the role you're playing, the responsibilities you hold, the actions you're taking to earn that outcome.
Ah, okay. So if you picture earning 10 times more money, you also need to picture yourself being the kind of person in the kind of role who would naturally earn that, making decisions, taking action.
Exactly. It's about seeing yourself handling that level of responsibility, having the character, acting in ways that align with that success, and considering the impact you're having on others. It's defining the destination and the person you become along the way.
And to make that vision stick, to make it really yours, the transcript says, understanding your values is key.
Yeah, your core values. These are like the why behind your actions. Why do you want to work? Why are relationships important? What really drives you?
Okay, so figuring out those underlying drivers makes the vision clearer and more powerful.
That's the idea. Clarity on values leads to clarity in vision.
Yeah.
And it offers a way to find that clarity, reflecting on what truly, genuinely makes you happy. Seems simple, but maybe it's not always obvious.
It might require some digging. The transcript uses that example from Lou Tice again. He found deep happiness just watching his kids eat dinner, feeling he can provide for them.
Right, so the value wasn't have lots of money, it was provide security for loved ones.
Exactly. It shifts the focus. And the source suggests real happiness often comes more from giving, from contribution, than just from getting stuff for yourself.
Like that feeling you get when you genuinely help a colleague who's struggling. That feels good.
Right, that kind of feeling. So the advice is, think about what brings you that genuine happiness.
Yeah.
Use those feelings, those values, as anchors when you're building that vision of your ideal life and relationships.
Okay, so you have this vision anchored in your values. Now, the transcript talks about a shift in how we approach things day to day, moving from have to towards want to.
Yes, this is a crucial mindset shift. The idea is that a truly fulfilling life is driven by desire, what you genuinely want to do, not by obligation, what you feel you have to do. And living in that have-to space, it just breeds resentment and makes life feel like a drag.
Pretty much. The transcript argues it leads to dissatisfaction, a lower quality of life. And the outcomes are different, too.
How so?
Well, when you act from want to, even if things don't work out perfectly, there's usually a sense of satisfaction in the effort. You chose it. You own it.
Right, you feel responsible for trying.
Yeah.
But with have to.
With have to, it's much easier to make excuses, to blame external factors. You feel like you were forced into it, so you don't fully own the results.
The transcript mentioned Lutice's observation about dentists potentially feeling trapped in that have-to cycle.
Yeah, feeling stuck in a profession they felt obligated to pursue, maybe avoiding full responsibility because they felt controlled by circumstance rather than choice.
So that have-to state makes you feel powerless, like things are happening to you, which kills genuine motivation.
That's the core idea. It hinders real effort and fulfillment.
So how do we make the switch? How do we get more want to and less have to? The transcript links this back to behavior, right?
It does. Embracing desire unlocks that agency, and it suggests a really practical, if maybe counterintuitive method. Deliberately act in a way that contradicts your current belief system, especially those have-to beliefs.
Okay, act against the belief. How does that work? It brings up that intense example.
Yeah, the person raised in a really oppressive environment who finally snaps and yells at their parents.
And the result was like an instant personality shift towards being more assertive.
Apparently, yes. A sudden transformative change. The act itself broke the underlying brief, the I must always obey belief. It challenged it so directly that the belief system got rewritten on the spot.
Whoa. Okay, that's dramatic. How does that apply to something less intense, like feeling you have to go to your 9-to-5 job?
The suggestion is try challenging that feeling directly through action. If you feel you have to work 9 to 5, maybe try starting earlier one day, but do it willingly as a conscious choice, not an obligation.
So it's the intentionality. Choosing to do the behavior differently, even if it's small, starts to chip away at the have-to belief associated with it.
Exactly. You're proving to yourself through action that you can choose. That deliberate change in behavior starts to rewrite the underlying brief, paving the way for more actions based on genuine desire.
Okay, let's pull this all together. We've covered a lot from this transcript. What are the main takeaways for someone listening?
Well, first, that core message of hope. Achieving what you desire is possible. Then, the importance of setting goals outside your current reality to expand your view.
Right, and understanding that your beliefs, these briefs, they really define your limits. But, and this is key, you can change those beliefs.
Visualization is a powerful tool for that, creating that compelling future vision. And anchoring that vision in your true values makes it much more potent.
Then there's that crucial shift from living by have to embracing want to, reclaiming your sense of agency.
And finally, the power of action. Deliberately changing your behavior, even in small ways, is a direct method to challenge and rewrite limiting beliefs.
So if there's one central idea that really stands out, it's that our beliefs, often unconscious, create these invisible fences around what we think is possible for us.
Exactly. But the really empowering part is that those fences aren't permanent. By becoming aware of them, by actively working to reshape those beliefs, you really can push those boundaries back, maybe even achieve things that seem completely impossible right now.
So maybe the final thought for you, the listener, is this. Breaking free isn't about some magic bullet out there. It really starts inside, with looking at your own beliefs. What are the assumptions, the briefs, that might be holding you back without you even realizing it? Questioning those. That could be the most powerful first step you take.